Welcome to this video on the Zenwara channel. My name is Sri Satguru, Buddha, Rawa, Bhagwan. In today's video, we will talk about the spiritual power of the continent of America and the country of Canada. Before we start this conversation, I will start with a mantra to open the air. Vim dim kam tam yam Sham Vahim Devi Mahashakti Shivada Kavaladaham Shayam Vayam Trimurti Avatara Amonra Tepeyelotol Teshkatli Poka Umtek Rasiva Papa Mahamaya Ishwara Kalki Avatara Dashavatara Mahavidya Puram. The continent of America has long and ancient spiritual history. As we know, America is generally referred to as North America, Central America, and South America. Historically, the continent of America has been home to gods who have walked the earth like other continents. Different continents, different lands have maintained their spiritual traditions in different ways. And some spiritual traditions, religions, belief, cultures, ways of being, ways of thinking, have moved from one place to another with the movement of the people of the land. America has a history of people who lived there before colonization, before the arrival of the Europeans, and the people they brought with them. It also has a history after that. The continent of America has a story and a history called the Mayavu, the Mahavu, which in itself has 5 different vu, 5 different independent storylines, which together make the vidya and understanding of the full story. And the Mahavu, the great story of the Maya. And let us make reference to the fact that in the Dharma, Maya is known as the illusion, and that there were a people in America called the Maya, who lived alongside the Aztec, the people that were like Tech their god, the god of the Tej, the Adi Shri. The continent of America has a history of gods, of powerful beings. It also has a history of the spirits of the land. It has darker stories as well. The Mahavu has different view. The Popol Vuh, the Pepel Vuh, the Pupol Vuh, the Papol Vuh. And the People Vuh. There is the story of men. There is the story of spirits. There is the story of gods. There is the story of ancestors in true death. There is a story of demons. And within these stories, everything is encompassed. The Mahavu, the Mayavu, the Mahamayavu is the great story of Maya, of the story as it is told, was told, and will be told. And it is a living, eternal story which never ends, with its own knowledge and Vidyas. And it is a story that is very strong in the continent of America, as it is everywhere. Gods have roamed the lands of America, the continent. And like, for example, in other continents, there have been meccas, places where the teachings have come from, where the gods have come, the masters, the true masters. Well, in the same way, on the continent of America, there have been places where these teachings have come from. And the gods visit different lands in different parts of the story, working on the stories of the land, for the gods are of all the lands, but some are limited to some lands. So one of the places of great learning was Mexico and the area around there, the center of the continent, Central America. And the gods walked the land, and great civilizations flourished, protected by their gods. With purpose, they grew and prepared for their end that they had foreseen. And the teachings of Central America spread through the land and made its way even to North America, to the tribes which lived in North America, transported by the great rider of the horse of the stories, who had studied when he met a merchant who was also a guru of the Tej. And the teachings of the Aztecs spread. The teachings of the four directions, the four colors, the teachings of Tezcatlipoca, of the division of creation, of the reintegration of creation. The teachings of the four directions, of the four winds, of the four corners, of the wheel. And in this way, the medicine wheel became a part of the cultures of the tribes and peoples of North America. These teachings of Central America also made their way to South America, which was also a place of great culture and knowledge. In this way, different places developed in different ways with different teachings and developed them in different ways. Each in their place on the continent, the traditions grew and prospered, and the connection of the people with their ancestors and the land and the gods and God grew. And great processes of magic and spirituality took place. The gods even walked the lands, walking with the people, giving them strength and courage. And the continent of America had its spiritual traditions, paths of the land, practitioners of the land, gurus of the land, masters of the land, masters of magic, powerful beings, masters of connections and technologies, and these paths are eternal paths. So as some continents have the Dharma and other ways of being, such as the Viking way and others, the continent of America has all these paths as well, but is very strong in the Mahamaya view, the great story of the Maya, the eternal living story. Like the Dharma is an eternal living story. Like the Tej will be an eternal living story. Because the gods protect the stories. So the continent of America has many powerful traditions, and other traditions exist in other places. For example, in Thailand, there's Thai magic, which is very powerful, and Thai demons and Thai gods and all the Buddhas and all these different traditions. And same thing in China, many traditions of spirituality which are very powerful in its lineages. They even have in China a lineage called, the Chinese lineage called strategy, which is the great lineage of strategy that is a Chinese lineage. Many, many lineages. And in Japan, they have lineages as well, great practitioners in Japan. And in India, great traditions and lineages, paramparas, akaras. And in other places of the world, there is the great traditions of the Catholic Church and of the saints. There is the great tradition of Islam and the prophets. And of the prophet there are many great traditions. And also North America, Central America, South America, the continent of America, and the lands around there have great, deep, spiritual power. Many stories. So America is a land of spirituality as well. Very important place of spirituality. And when I say America, I mean the continent, not just the country of the United States of America. I mean Canada. I mean the United States of America. I mean Mexico, and I mean the countries of South America. There is a connection that exists between all the countries and people of the continent of America. A deep connection. They are brothers and sisters in a way that all people are brothers and sisters. All people are one, but the people of the continent of America are brothers and sisters in a way that is difficult to describe. They share the same feeling, the same blood, the same energy and life that pulses through their people. Our people, for I am also a Canadian. And there are paths of the land. There is the path of flowers. There is the path of clay. There is the path of the leaf. There is the path of stick. There are many different paths of the land. Right? And different view, or vu as it's called. As you can see, the concept is the same as, for example, the Dharma, where you have vidya concept of views that you can have, knowledge, jnana views, right? Jnana and vidya, right? Views and knowledge. And the same thing in America, the continent. For it's easy for us to go to maybe other countries and to see beautiful temples that thousands of years old and all these things, and to think these countries are more advanced spiritually than we are. And it's not the truth. Okay, things have been retained in different ways. For there, also in other countries, things used to have a verbal, a spoken tradition of retaining, right? And this has also existed and continued in the continent of America. And although some of our temples might be more modest, they are no less powerful. And our tradition in the continent of America is deep, as is the connection of all places. So when one thinks about spiritual practice, it is fun and enjoyable and educational and a growing opportunity to visit other places, other countries, and their temples and their places. And I highly recommend it. But do not forget that your land where you live is also a place of spirituality and stories. And that you also, in your stories, have great stories and more scary ones. So people have a karmic lineage, a karmic path. And the spiritual power of the continent of America is vast and great. Even today, look at, for example, the practice of Santa Muerte, a saint, most special. It is one of the fastest growing cults right now of spirituality. And it is coming once again from Central America. showing once again the importance of Central America in spiritual development and practice. A birthing place of spirituality. And look at Canada, where the traditions came initially from Central America. There were always the traditions of the land, right? The spirits of the land. But where the knowledge spiritually, the knowledge of the gods, came from the teachings of a guru of the Tej, through the great rider who rode to all the tribes with all the teachings. And now today in Canada we have a very active and multicultural tradition of spirituality in the land. A very, very, very strong place of spiritual practice. So the history of spiritual development continues. And in a world of interconnecting everything, with more and more connections made through technologies, well, as technologies develop physically and materially, spiritual technologies develop as well. So the power and importance of the spiritual practitioners of the land grows and increases in the future, in the world, in the present. And their importance to guide the world, to sustain and preserve the world, is important. It's not a coincidence when you have someone who's very developed spiritually, they have a role now to play. For with great power comes great responsibility. And we thank Spider-Man for that quote, right? And the creators of Spider-Man. Everybody has their role to play in this story. Sometimes we have to enjoy things too. So if you can enjoy all of it, even the better. But sometimes there are situations in life that are difficult to enjoy, but you can ensure that you can do them comfortably. So this is a family member of mine who told me that. So Canada, the United States, Mexico, South America have a vast and rich spiritual tradition. And it's easy for other cultures to say that their spiritual tradition is more developed, more advanced. It's not true. The spiritual power of the continent of America is immense. So is the power of other lands. There is no more powerful, less powerful. Everything is balanced out in time and space. The equation balances itself and maintains the balance. Now today in the continent of America, we have Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, Catholics, Protestants, Warrens, and all types of people, all types of spiritual practitioners. There are witches, there are vampires, there are werewolves, there are ogres, there are all types of beings, all types of spiritual beings. It is a vast land of power spiritually. And some lands show it a little bit more than others, and some are a little bit more discreet in what they show to the outside world. So there is a vast spiritual tradition of the continents of America, and their spiritual power is great. So is the unity of the people of the continents of America, which have learned in time how to live with each other. How to grow together, each in our own ways. How to interact with each other fairly and honestly, but in a way that works out for everybody. As there is the flower path, the clay path, the stick path, the leaf path, other paths, the path of water, the path of fire, the path of spirits, the paths, and there are different, of the gods. I recommend staying away from the path of demons because it doesn't apply to people, it doesn't work for people anyways. And I recommend not even saying the name of the path of ancestors in true death. Respect the ancestors, but their paths are not the paths of the living. Always honor the ancestors, but leave the stuff of the dead to the dead. Or you might have a bad surprise somewhere. There's enough going on with the living. And the path of true death, well, that's the path that everyone fears. But is a path for some. So Canada and the continent of America is a very powerful spiritual place. There are lineages of preservation, of creation, and of war. But it is a good place, of good people who believe in a good life, whose ancestors gave everything they had so that their descendants would have a better life. And this is a thing to share with the world. Live in the light.